Hello, I am Miguel Purisima, and I will be discussing blue zones and analyzing my life through the concept of blue zones. But before I tackle blue zones, I will first discuss a little bit of background of the things that we talk about in SocSc, for example, modernity and its different views. So, modernity is viewed under two lenses. So, a contemporary view and an alternative view of modernity. So, the contemporary view, or the usual way of viewing modernity, is that everything modern is rational, it's efficiency focused, it's driven by progress, so we're always heading for progress, and a lot of it is based on Western standards. But the thing is, when we pursue these kinds of modernity, we do so at the expense of humanity, of life, of health. Sometimes we focus too much on progress that we really lose sight of what life should be. And the alternative modernity that a lot of people are suggesting is that it's more people centered, so we care about people more, not as much as progress. We care about culture, even if it's less efficient, even if it sacrifices some rate of progress, it brings out more in humans, and in the end, it might bring out more growth in our communities. And what the blue zone is an exemplification of this alternative modernity. So, what is a blue zone ba? So, a blue zone is a geographical location where people have observed that the inhabitants of those locations reach ages 100 and older, so they have like a really high life expectancy. And they found that these locations embody certain aspects. So, their spaces encourage movement, a right outlook in life, eating wisely, and connection. So for movement, these spaces encourage not necessarily lifting weights or going to the gym, but they encourage a lot of casual physical activities, and their spaces are optimized for walking. They also have a space that encourages right outlook. So these spaces encourage unwinding, so relaxation, pursuing some sort of spirituality or faith, and as well as finding a purpose in the community. So each individual has these culturally important aspects of their lives, and they eat wisely. So their spaces encourage a plant-based diet, and they don't overeat or undereat. They eat in moderation, and they also foster connection. So these spaces encourage community and community building. And by thinking of and by highlighting these spaces, when I look into my own life, I realize that the Philippines, or like at least the immediate circle that I'm in, isn't really a blue zone environment. So, for starters, I don't eat wisely because I have to be quick. So a lot of the times I go to fast food, um, and I eat so much because I have to always be my top shape. I have to have so much energy, and sometimes I eat until like 120% full, and I eat so much sodium. And sometimes, moving on from food, I realized that I don't really have a time to unwind in pursuit of the progress. So a lot of the things that I do are just orgs and academics and studying and planning, that I don't really have an outlet anymore. And another factor to not pursuing outlets is, I'm sometimes I'm too Western in the sense that a lot of the outlets that I like pursuing are outdoor activities like cycling and running. And lately I avoid it because I realized, but through these readings, that I have a lot of Western ideals that I don't want to be tanned. Even though I'm Filipino, I'm naturally kayumanggi, tanned. But unfortunately, I don't like pursuing it, or I don't like it because I'm very westernized. But yeah, but even so, even though I don't live in a blue zone environment, after some careful reflection, I realized that I still have some blue zone habits, and that I make the best out of what I have. So even if Metro Manila isn't really that walkable, I still try to walk to school. I don't like using the tricycle, so I really like to move, and I try to maintain a good outlook. So I try to foster my spirituality by going, like, while walking, I try to reflect. I try to visit a lot of the churches here, and it's very convenient because there's a church inside Ateneo, and I try to connect more with God. my family, my partner, my friends, and lately I realized that I have been trying to find a bigger purpose beyond myself. So, a lot of my considerations for my orgs and my future, even though I am so progress driven, I try to do so by still thinking about people. So lately, I am trying to find a career path that doesn't just lead me to success, but as well as giving back to the poor, giving back to the people. And with that in mind, I realized that I can do better. I can try to live a blue zone lifestyle more, even if my space isn't a blue zone. So I can attempt to eat more wisely, to unwind more, and to revisit my interests and try to not follow the Western standards that have been holding me back. And most of all, I want to connect with more people. I want to talk with more people. If there's one thing that if there's one thing that Western media shows me, if there's that one thing that Western culture is doing good at, it's talking to strangers, and I really want to bring that to the Philippines. And I have been trying to do that. The park, even though there's no parks, but like when I'm in public spaces, I try to do that. And like just to conclude everything that I talked about, basically there are two views of modernity: a contemporary one and an alternative one. And blue zones offer that alternative modernity that does not impede the humanities, the human life. And I realized that I embody, thankfully, blue zone habits, but I still have have a lot of contemporary ones because of the space that I am in. But I can work on it. I have modern habits, but I can still move towards the alternatively modern habits, towards a blue zone life, and an alternatively modern world. And that is everything from me. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.